Good afternoon, everyone. This is Tony from our Homestead Skills. Hope everyone's doing well. It has become extremely cold here. Winter is definitely on its way. And in one way that, I would be a little bit upset, but because we have the property down south now, I'm looking forward to getting ready to go away now. So we won't be spending the cold winter months up here, thank goodness. Mark and I took a little trip up north a few days ago to visit an old friend of his who lives up in Sudbury, and they decided that they would meet halfway. So we drove through Muskoka, which is a beautiful country, and ended up meeting his friend in Parry Sound, Ontario. So that was, we both drove kind of equal distance to get together for lunch, and we had a lovely lunch. But on the way back, I did notice that there was the odd tree, that the leaves were already changing. Now, that was only a few days ago, and it's gotten to be that there are more leaves changing. So I don't think it's going to be too long before there are no green leaves left on these trees here. Fall is definitely on its way. I mean, this is still supposed to be summer for another 2 weeks, but summer really doesn't last long in this neck of the woods. So it's short and sweet. I mean, everyone loves the spring, and the spring is absolutely awesome. You feel like, new life. Everything is just blooming. Everything is just, after the dead of winter, the earth is coming alive again. And that's just the way I feel. You have new babies, new birds flying, and new creatures, baby creatures all being born, and all of that, and new plants and things of that nature. So yes, it's just life renewing itself in the spring. And to me, it is probably the most awesome time of the year. Summer is wonderful as well, and the fall brings its own wonderful harvests. And this year, I haven't done too much of a harvest because we were away in the spring. Now, we're probably going to schedule our time a little bit better next year. So next year I will have a proper garden in. This year I wasn't able to do that just because of going back and forth and not knowing what's going on and what you're doing. Heading down south, coming back up, heading down south, coming back up. We did that a number of times, and that just makes putting in a garden pretty difficult. But I have in mind to, when I do get back down south in the next month or so, I have plans to see what I can do about harvesting down there. I haven't been able to do a tremendous amount of harvesting here because I haven't planted much. I did can up my tomato sauce, which is something I do every year, and perhaps I did too much considering we're going to be away for 6 months, but we'll see if that's the case. I mean, it's going to be good for at least 18 months to 2 years. Definitely usable, and even beyond that, but to me that's where the flavor is at its peak, is in the first year actually. So we'll see what happens, and if next year I don't need as much, I will not can up as much. It's just, you take it as it comes. Now, we use tomato sauce as a base for all kinds of things, to make pizzas, to make specialty Italian dishes like lasagna and cannelloni, even though I haven't made those in a while. To make chili, so wherever you need a tomato base, that tomato puree that I made really works out well. And I've never had enough of a garden here myself that I could just grow what I needed, so I always had to buy bushels of them. And that, in retrospect, is not a bad idea because you can do a big batch all at once. The one time where I did have a reasonable amount growing in my garden, I seemed to be processing them on a daily basis because they did not all ripen at the same time. Close, but not at the same time. So it was a lot more work. Whereas, yes, it is a big job to do 50 pounds or 100 pounds in one sitting. It's over and done with quickly. So that's the way I like to do my tomatoes. Now I've also made some chili, so that's in my pantry. We've eaten a little bit, but there's more there for when we get back. And I've made some kosher style fermented pickles, which we love. So we've got that. And I've checked my pantry, and there really isn't too much I have to catch up on. There was one year where I must have made 20 or 30 jars of jams, and I still have lots of those. I've made a small batch of applesauce, and we still have enough of that. I may make a little bit more. And I also have still 3 dozen of bread and butter pickles. So I've got tons of those, and a whole bunch of other various things, corn and beets, and there is quite a bit of things in my pantry that don't really, and and pickled vegetables. So I don't really need to replenish anything there at this point that I don't have already. But I do need to develop a pantry when I get back down south. So my mind is, okay, I'm not doing it here. What do I have to do there? Well, I did purchase a propane burner, which is awesome. I'll be able to do that outside, which is something that I love to do. I do have the facilities outdoors where I have a big concrete patio just on the back of the kitchen door, so I can, use the indoor for the sterile filling up of jars, and outdoors for processing them, which I prefer to do. And so I have in my mind that there are certain things that I want to do. I will probably start growing some herbs from seed when I get down there immediately. So even if I don't transplant them into the ground, I will hopefully be able to grow them. And if not immediately when I arrive, probably early spring before we leave, I hope to get those in the ground. So we'll see what happens there. But I do want to establish a good boundary of lavender, for one thing. I understand that mosquitoes don't like lavender, and the mosquitoes certainly love me, and anything I can do to keep them away is going to be awesome. And I'm thinking all along the top of my wall there, and perhaps, we'll see what happens. So I want to do a big row of lavender and another big row of rosemary and other herbs as well. Those are very aromatic herbs and quite beautiful. So we'll see what we can do. I mean, there's no guarantee that from the time that I'm there that I can actually get these things grown into the ground, but we'll do what we can. Now I know that I can plant a couple of fruit trees, and I've got in mind that definitely I want to buy a Satsuma orange. I think it's a mandarin type orange that will survive. I'm in zone 8, and I understand it will survive there, so I plan to do that. So here, my mind is right now on gardening and on canning. So I have to develop a pantry. I want to do whatever gardening I can there. I do have some 2 southern magnolia trees on the property, which are huge and they're very large. And when we were there last July, which that was only a month or 2 ago, I noticed that the magnolia tree had these pods on them, and not being familiar with magnolia trees, I thought, oh, don't those look odd? But turns out that they are the seeds, and I'll look forward to collecting some of those seeds perhaps. But I did notice that when I was cleaning the yard underneath that, the front yard, that there were some small magnolia plants. So I almost ran over them with the lawnmower to clean up that area, and I decided not to. I thought that I would, at some point, dig them up and plant them elsewhere, or plant them in pots so that they can be given to somebody else. I haven't made a decision yet. But I think there's at least 10 little magnolia trees right in a certain spot, I guess, where the seeds had fallen and they had established themselves. I hope to harvest some black walnuts and some hickory nuts, and I have researched on how to clean and prepare those, so we'll see how successful I am at that, because that'll be the first attempt. I also have in mind, well, like I said, my first priority is canning and gardening, so I will be doing as much of that as I can. Obviously, Mark's priority is going to be doing a lot of renovation, and of course I'm going to be helping him there wherever he needs my help. Other than that, I'd like to get to know the property a little bit better. I think come the winter where there's less leaves on the trees, I should be able to walk the property a little bit better, get to know it a little bit better, see if there's anything that is of interest. Don't know yet. I mean, we do have quite a bit of forested property that I have not even looked at or gone through because there's just so much else to do. But I'd like to get to know where the boundaries are of my property as well, so we'll do that. At this point, I'm hoping to go for close to 6 months, maybe take a week or two off of that and head back down in July so that we can perhaps plant some winter crops in July and harvest some more figs. I mean, that is perfect timing. I don't know if there'll be any figs left when we go back. There may be, and if they are, wonderful. And I do have my little fig cuttings that have grown, and I could see from my cameras that they have, one has got to be at least 2 feet tall, but there are a number of them in a couple of pots, so we'll have to take a look at those, and those will be transplanted and put in the ground. I will likely be buying a few other types of fig trees and planting them throughout the property as well. We'll see what happens there, if I'm successful at growing them. Unfortunately, there really isn't too much to do here. There's no point in doing too much canning. Gardening season is pretty much over, and it was not terribly successful for me because of circumstances. Next year will be different. So the mental process is focused on down south. Well, hopefully you're all enjoying the lovely fall type weather that we're having already. And yes, I think that fall is going to be quite lovely this year. And for me, it will be an extended fall. I was telling Mark that we're probably going to be, because we won't have winter here, we'll probably just have extended springs and extended falls and very little summer in our lives in the next couple of years. But we'll see how that works out. Anyway, hope everyone's doing well. Hope you've all got your pantries established, and looking forward to the coming cooler season. This is Tony from our Homestead Skills. Talk to you real soon, and bye for now.